first and foremost, I have absolutely no business talking about Elite Dangerous. I'm barely 10 hours deep, and this game is split right down the middle with me. I hate it, but I like it. And I like it for the obvious things that it has, the deep complexity and the many ways that you can play this game, from trading to combat to I'm not sure if it's recon or more. It's like exploring on both on foot and on aerial spaceship combat. It's the definition of deep. And I'm not quite sure if I played a game as deep as this, but the more I think about it, the more games come to mind, like Escape from Tarkov or even Arma 3, right? I've always said that Arma 3 is the deepest game I've ever played in my life, and it's a little shocking because on the surface, if you're not familiar with Arma 3, it just comes off as a military shooter, and lots of people will kind of just dismiss it as that, but it's obviously so much more. Calling Arma a military shooter or a first person shooter or even third, it's doing it a huge disservice, right? That's like trying to think of a good example here. Like, I can't, but what I was going to say was like just naming one thing that something does and just ignoring the other 50 things it does, right? Like you're just judging it by the one thing or two things that it's popular for, but not the entire piece or thing. As well as Tarkov, right? Tarkov is like almost the land version of like the on foot soldier version of Elite Dangerous. I mean, not this is not a perfect comparison, but there's lots of parallels in the sense that it Tarkov is also like Arma more than just a first person shooter, right? I mean, that is what you do for the most part, but it's also like you don't have to kill to complete missions, very much like Elite Dangerous, right? Like you don't have to do combat. You can do trading in Elite Dangerous, like I said before. You can do exploration, surveying, and all that. And Escape from Tarkov, you can literally jump in, go grab some items that uh, a trader. You're doing like these personal quests for trader. Like maybe they need, I don't know, some sort of a component, and that's your mission. You drop in, and instead of just massacring everyone on the server, you make a beeline for where you think this component might be. You grab it and you extract. No one got shot. Not a bullet left your gun. So that's pretty cool, right? So you can literally play Tarkov ratting, as they say, which that's another. I have a problem with that phrase because that phrase comes off to me like these wannabe little macho tryhards, right? That basically call the way you're supposed to play a game ratting, right? Because it's not the macho thing to do, right? The macho thing to do in Tarkov is to go out there and actively look for players and kill them. And even if they're questing, it don't matter. And also, enemy AI, like you're supposed to be a man. You're not supposed to be skulking in the shadows and using proper cover. And this I have a problem with this because literally Tarkov is not designed. First of all, I got to stop saying the word literally. I'm using it incorrectly. That also annoys me when other people do it, and here I am doing it myself. Tarkov is designed to be played by skulking and being tactical and stopping every couple of seconds instead of making just running out in the open like a maniac. Ratting is a tactical thing, but it's got this negative connotation to it, right? Like it's what's that word? Pejorative, pejorative, whatever. When people say ratting is usually a bad thing, and it's like that's not that shouldn't even be called that in my opinion. I get where you're coming from, man. You say whatever the fuck you want. I'm not no, I'm not gonna stop no one from living their life, but it's misleading to call proper tactics ratting, right? And this isn't always me. I know this some of you may hear this and be like, "Oh, you sound like a straight bitch, Dan." And that's what a straight bitch would say, right? They would be skulking in the shadows instead of treating Tarkov like Call of Duty. That wouldn't be accurate, actually. And I wouldn't have any reason to lie to you. There's been many times in Tarkov where I actively went to where the fire, the gunshots were, and just to get a kill, just in my man. I'm like, especially when I'm a what do you call those guys? Not your main character, not like your operator, but scav. When I go on a scav run, I don't give a shit, right? You lose your scav, you lose your scav. That's it. It's game over for that scav, but it doesn't affect your main character. But like I actively look for fights many, many times. I would even go about and say most times because that is how Tarkov is best enjoyed. But I'm just saying it would be not only would you be playing the game the way it's intended, but also you would be using viable tactics, right? Because if you want to just run out on the open and shoot everything in sight, you might as well just play Call of Duty or Ghost Recon or Far Cry or The Division or something like that. But whatever, man, you live your life. So Elite Dangerous is this game that I've only played for 10 hours, and this is why I said that I don't have no business talking about this game, because this game it's a simulator, which means you're not going to get given. It's going to be minimal hand holding. You're not going to get given deep, complex instructions on how to play it. For the most part, just like any other simulator, it's trial and error. Which to most people, in my opinion, are that's gonna turn them off, right? Because you don't want to keep failing and a mission, and you also don't want to keep scratching your head trying to figure out how something that's supposed to be simple works. And that was me with Elite Dangerous, right? I'm literally holding the table out of anger because I want to break something. So I'm just squeezing the table because this game is fucking pissing me off because I'm doing all the training missions, right? All of them. Combat as well as just basic flying as well as docking. And I was getting good at docking. I never thought I would enjoy docking, but that's the number one thing that I like that I can say so far in my good 10 hours. And it's not even 10 hours. It's like 10 recorded hours. I'll give you the fucking exact number here. What are we looking at? It says 11.5, but no bullshit. Probably like 3 or 4 of those hours were just me cooking or doing something and leaving the game, like just running. So in reality, actual gameplay, I probably played this game for maybe 6 hours in a span of a few days. So, I am nowhere near qualified to talk about this game, but I do like it. As much as I hate it, I do like it because there's something whenever I play this game and I'm failing, which is literally 80% of the time. And once again, don't know if I used literally correctly that time. 80% of the time I'm failing at something, right? Even like I told you before I got on this little tangent, docking. Docking a ship, which basically means just fucking parking the thing inside of a giant space station. That's usually done automatically for you in any other games, no, but not this one. Actually, I think from what I understand, you can do it automatically, or at least, yeah, I believe so. But the whole procedure, I don't want to do it automatically. I want to do that shit myself. And it was fun, and I was getting a hang of it finally. And then I tried it again yesterday, and I failed miserably to the point where I got frustrated and just exited out. And I was like, I thought I got that. I was confident after I shut off the game and trying. I tried docking a few times that particular training mission, and I was like, I felt good enough to like turn the game off, go about my life, and go like, yeah, I think I'm getting good at docking. And then I tried it again the next day, and I fucking sucked at it. And I was like, what happened there? I was pretty confident that I was good, and and that's Elite Dangerous. Maybe some OG players, gamers that do have 1,000+ hours in this game, maybe they can concur, or maybe this is just growing pains, right? This is what every gamer experiences in Elite Dangerous when they first start off. I don't know, but it just seems to me like this game, it's like it's so hard to master. I think everyone can agree on that. And that's why I like it the most, right? Because there's a voice in my head every time I get frustrated and I go, I don't want to play this game, right? Uninstall it, Dan. Get you free up some of your precious memory because I barely have enough. But something in my brain is going, don't do it because I know deep down inside that if I stick to this game, I'm going to end up fucking loving it. I just know it. And I'm trying to let that voice of reason shine through and let my pussy, whiny, frustrating side of me dissipate into the ether and kind of just be an not necessarily an OG. I don't see myself dropping 1,000 hours in this game, but I do see myself at least getting competent. I didn't say good, at least getting myself a C. If I can grade myself, I would be happy. And that's with most jobs, right? I keep telling myself, oh, Danny, you don't have to do combat. And so far, that's been the most frustrating thing about this game so far, the combat. Not the first person combat. I tried two separate missions doing combat on foot, and I sucked. I died both times. I did kill my target the second time, so I was like, okay, I did half the mission, but I couldn't make it out, and I died. So, but the aerial combat, I started to kind of get the hang of it when I'm fighting one pilot and even two pilots in one of the training missions. But then it was this one particular training mission where I had to fight three pilots at a time, and that right there was insane. I that's the one that had me gripping the side of the table and just fucking sweating. I'm taking off my robe because I'm sweating and I'm so fucking mad. And yes, a lot of it, most of it has to do with my lack of skill and experience in this game, but also a good portion of it has to do with the terrible lack of instructions that this game gives you. It just gives you like a general do this and then it doesn't even repeat it. Sometimes I try to look at the little chat box where the NPC that's instructing you, everything that they say would be, you know, written down so you can see it inside of a what looks like a chat box. But when I'm looking for that box and I find it, there's no dialogue in there, and I'm like, I can't even reference to what my instructor just told me if I missed it. Or sometimes I don't miss it. Many times I don't miss it. I'm looking dead at what the instructor is saying. I'm reading what the instructor is saying as he's saying it, and I still don't understand. My brain's like, what the fuck does that mean? I wish I could just take my time and just read it again, but I can't because sometimes it's lost. So I'm there fighting these pilots. I had no idea that there was like a blue zone in your ship where like that's where you want to be normally. That's what I read online on Reddit. If your ship is completely stationary or if it's going too fast, it's at its worst agility, right? Like that's the least agile your ship can be. I didn't know that. Once I figured out that you can set your ship's thrusters or whatever the hell they're called to like 50%, you're at your best at agility. Once I figured it out, I still got murdered, but I did better. I did better. I died and I was still frustrated, but I was a little bit frustrated. It would be nice if they let you know that, right? Maybe they do. I don't know. Maybe it's a different training video. But I don't know. It would be cool then instead of them going to eliminate these pilots, Commander, it's like, look, this is what you can do. This one particular pilot or pilots, enemy pilots tend to fly over you whenever you try this maneuver. Try going this speed. Try using, going left or right. What are that? I don't know. Not panning. I forgot what it's called when you kind of go left or right. So I know the pitch to y'all. That all that's I'm a fucking baby when it comes to all of this, and I'm not crazy about anything that's flight, which is another reason which I was going to get to eventually of why it's hard for me to continue playing this game because the vast majority of this game is played with you in your ship, right? Which and also so there's two things that I never really liked growing up, and now I'm a little more open to them, but I'm still not crazy about them, right? I'm more accepting of these two themes now than I was before, but I'm still eh. One is space. I never was a big fan of space shit. It always turned me off when I was a kid, right? Star Trek, Star Wars. Sorry guys, I know those two things are they're like a religion at this point, like football. Like God forbid you say you don't like football. right? It's like you're a blasphemer. They're preparing the cross to crucify you, and as you say that, and I feel like when you say I don't like Star Wars and Star Trek, people they give you that look like the nerds, like what the fuck you mean? Like they never met someone like you, at least in person. They never met a woman neither. I'm joking, joking. You know what? A lot of people who do like Star Wars, from what I hear, probably are on my side now because from what I hear, Disney has been slaughtering the franchise. I wouldn't know. I'm the last person to ask because man, I can't tell you the last Star Wars movie I've watched, if I ever watched one. To be honest with you, now that I think about it, I don't think I've ever watched one single Star Wars film, new or old. Same with Star Trek. I used to just skip it whenever I saw that fucking ship in Star Trek. Like, in the beginning, I don't know what show it was. There's a million Star Trek shows, but it was one where it would show like space, and then the ship would slowly kind of make its way into the shot. That was my shot to that and MASH. Whenever I saw like the opening theme of MASH, I'll change it to whatever the fuck I watched at the time, which was like Hercules or Xena. The, Shut up. Those great shows. You know what? That's something. Now that I got some free time, maybe I go back and visit some of those. I love those shows. Hmm. Anyways, yeah. So space, not really my thing, right? And then flying ships. I never was a big fan of flying ships. I dabbled, sure. I played games like early games, like Galaga or it's a Galaga. I know that's fucking ancient. But even moving on to something newer than Galaga, like Super R Type, those were shmups as they call them now. But back then they were we just called them airplane shooters. Even though it was like a starship of some sort, we still called them airplane shooters. And then what would be my most recent one? Hope Everspace. I believe that's the name of it, where you control this. That one's very arcadey, and I enjoyed that one. I didn't get to finish it, but I did put a good amount of time into it, maybe like 13 hours or something like that. And I enjoyed it. I think I stopped it because I found a better game, or it kind of started being boring. I don't remember, but maybe I can go back and play that now. Now that like I said, I've got some free time. I'm not sure, but here I am playing Elite Dangerous. The number one thing that's keeping me here is because it's a simulator and simulators are hard and I like hard games. But here I am battling everything. Dude, I think I'm battling the fact that I'm not crazy about space. I'm battling the fact that I'm not crazy about airplane shooter starship games. And I'm battling the fact that it's hard as fuck. The only thing that's keeping me here is the deep complexity of this game, right? It is like an MMO, or I'm sorry, it is an MMO. I like the fact that you can do so much. You can get money so many different ways. You can do so much exploring. I feel like this game, maybe I'm wrong, but to me so far, from the little bit of exposure that I've had to it, this game might be the deepest game in history, right? Oh, I can tell you this now. I can't say it because once again I've only had a small amount of a limited amount of hours with the game. But something is telling me that this is the deepest game that's probably in modern existence, right? I mean, I'm sure. I don't mean that literally. I'm sure there's some game out there that's like way deeper than this. And it may not be 3D. Maybe it's like one of those 2D games. It's like, what's that game called? Not Cataclysm, but it's something like that. A game that's been around for like fucking decades, and they just kept improving it, and that game is deep. I don't know if that's the name of it, but whatever. I don't mean like literally the deepest game in existence, but I could top 10 or at least top 5. For me, it's shaping up to be the deepest game I've ever played in my life. And so far, that title belongs to Arma 3. Arma 3 it's a game that like you can spend hundreds, and that no bullshit. I know I'm preaching to the choir, so all the Arma OGs, but to the general public, you can spend hundreds of hours just doing infantry shit in Arma, right? I didn't even fly a fighter jet. I can barely fly a helicopter, barely, right? Without smashing into something and killing the entire crew. tanks and all that, those are pretty self-explanatory. That's what I did the most, tanks, cars. But as far as like helicopters, fighter jets, even like boats, I drove a few boats or ridden. What do? You ride a boat? You pilot? No, you don't pilot a boat. That doesn't even make fucking sense. You maneuver a boat. I don't know, man. You captain a boat, whatever. I've done that, and that's pretty easy. Whatever. Why am I saying that whatever word so much? It could be. Elite Dangerous could be and might be the most complex, deepest game I ever played. I want to delete it. I'm not gonna lie because I lost these last two missions on foot in this Odyssey DLC, which got so much hate, and I kind of don't see why, but I don't feel qualified to speak about it because I'm going to go ahead and assume that the majority of this hate comes from the fact that now there's first person shooter aspect to a game that's traditionally just been you flying around space, and I think that rubbed a lot of people the wrong way because they may fear that this game will eventually turn into a space Call of Duty. uh, I'm sure there's some people out there who feel like that, but I don't think that's the case. It seems to me like now the first person aspect of this game, first person shooter aspect of this game, is just another way to make money to make the game even more complex and deep, which is great. I welcome it, but I noticed that I am a much more open minded gamer than the average person. Even some of my friends, right? Some of my friends are very rigid and strict about the things that they like. And I try not to be like that with anything, with people, with my job, with life. I try to not be married to my ideas. I try not to shun trying new things. And it is difficult when you meet someone who is, but honestly, most people I meet are like that. You know, most people kind of like hey, I like things this way, and this is the way I like it. And gamers are no fucking exception. As a matter of fact, gamers are uh, probably the most, or in my experience, gamers are the ones who do it the most. And when I say what is it the most, I would say be very particular and very picky and super critical to the point where it's unfair at many times about what they like and what they don't like. You know, people stay in their own lanes. They like to stay in their own lanes, and that's people in general, in and out of the video game world, and people in general, but especially in the video game world, and that drives me nuts, right? Because like, all right, if you ask me what kind of games do I look forward to whenever I want to play a video game, I always say challenging, combat, action, typically. But it's not. I'm once again, I'm not married to that. I've tried many games that had zero combat, point and click games that had zero combat. You know, and I enjoyed them just the same. I was eager to play them and loved them. With Pentiment being the latest one, Disco Elysium being another one, and of course my favorite detective game of all time would be Return of the Obra Dinn. I was fascinated with that game. Uh, those games have zero combat. I absolutely love them. So I'm happy that I gave myself the chance. I pat myself on the back for the ability to be open minded, right? And I don't pat myself on the back for a lot of things, you know. So don't take that as a sign of like, you know, I'm stroking my own meat here, or I'm like, you know, uh, tooting my own horn. Trust me, I am not that type of guy. I don't have a lot in my life to toot my own horn to. Okay, now I'm just sounding depressing. But I will say that what's one of the very, very few things in my life that I can tell you that I like about myself, and the fact that I'm open minded. It does bother me when other people aren't, especially gamers, especially friends that are gamers. I'm like, come on, man, give it a shot. They're like, no, I don't like those type of games. All right, cool. You know, I guess I'm like that in some ways too. Some, not all, some ways. Like if like sports games, you know, like baseball, football, soccer. Like I'm like, no. You know, I just feel like those games are better off played in real life. I would have much more fun playing soccer in real life, or baseball in real life, or football in real life. You know, but once again, I know football, soccer, baseball, those things are religions. They're religions. So I'm not trying to blaspheme on you guys. Don't crucify me. I'm just saying that I guess I understand where some gamers would be like, no, that's not my lane. I'm not even going to try it because I feel like that about sports games. Am I going to stick with Elite Dangerous? Honestly, I don't think so. I want to, and I hope I do. I don't know. It's still as of right now, it's still in my library. I still haven't deleted it because I do want to dabble in it. I do want to continue giving it a shot. And I don't know if I am, man. It's I don't know. I hear it's not doing too well neither. I was reading up an article about it, and the game is what 24. Game's about 11 years old, which is hard to believe because it still looks amazing, right? Of course, they updated it as the years went by, but like it's hard to believe that more people aren't into this game, but then when I think about it, I'm like, it is not user friendly at all, right? It's a space sim that gives you minimal explanations and just doing simple tasks like flying a ship. Well, flying a ship is never simple, but arcadey, typical mainstream games make it so you're able to pilot a ship with no issues. And I was watching AVGN the other day, and he was doing one of these Let's Plays or something like that with his buddy that he's known for like many years, his childhood boy. And James, he said something that stuck to my mind. He was like a testament to like a great game is the ability for you to just pick up and play it. And I was like, yeah, that's that's literally he's absolutely right about that. But then I thought about myself and I was like, oh, I want the opposite. And that's how you know I'm fucked up right in the head because I'm like I the opposite of what he said would be a much more better alternative for me. I'd rather pick up a game and not know how to play it. And that is Elite Dangerous, right? And that is what makes it captivating. The fact that you have to earn. You earn. EARN. That is I emphasize that fucking word. I even spelt it just in case you didn't know. I emphasize that you have to earn your right to even just do basic navigation in this game. It is a flex to say that, oh yeah, I am good at Elite Dangerous. You'd be like, fuck. Of course it's very nerdy and dorky for someone to tell you that, but still. And I would question if they go outside much. But coming from a guy who barely goes outside much as of lately, you know, there's some I don't like to get too personal in my life, but right now the reason why I'm saying I have a lot more time is because I've relaxed my schedule. I went from part-time to part-time. So right now I'm only working a few days a week and I have a lot of time on my hands. It's not for a long time. Right now I am looking for another job. I'm still employed, thank you Jesus, but I am looking for another job. I think it's time to find something new to do in my life. So what does that have to do with the fuck I'm talking about now? I have a lot of time on my hands, which means that there'll be multiple days consecutively where I'm just at home. I try to stay a little active, of course. I try to cook, try to occasionally clean. I definitely exercise at least 4 days a week. Try to eat a little healthy. I try to wash clothes, but after all that's done, I'm not really a big TV guy. I'm not really a big movie guy. Video games is how I have fun. So now that I've got all this time in my hands, it's like I'm so fucking spoiled. Yesterday, it took me hours to even settle on a game because I'm like, oh, there's nothing to play. And I'm like, dude, there's a sea of fucking games to play. You can literally walk any direction in this digital marketplace and find a game to play. And here I am, like, no, that game's not, doesn't meet all of my boxes. Sometimes I got to realize that I'm spoiled. I'm fucking spoiled, even if I don't realize it. Would I recommend Elite Dangerous? Absolutely. But to a certain type of person. I cannot recommend this game to most people that I meet because most people are casual gamers. This game is intended for those who like challenge, those who are very detail oriented, and those who have a lot of time, right? Like a lot of time to actually slip in many gaming sessions, right? So this game appeals to a small percentage of gamers. But to go back to what James said in that AVGN, well, that was an AVGN episode. It was on the AVGN, whatever. When he said that, he was like, a good testament to a game is when you're able to just pick up and play it without using the user manual or without referring to anything. You can just play it and learn. And that's when it hit me, like I already knew it, but that's when I was thinking like, wow, I do like that, but I like not to be told nothing too. And then here comes Elite Dangerous. It's like, oh yeah, you want minimal, frustrating tutorials, and you want to fucking have a second life online? Come over here. I got something for you. I have heard of like Starship Citizen. I think that's what it's called, or Citizen Starship. I forgot what's it called, but I heard it's something more similar. I heard it's even more of a simulator. But I keep hearing people say that it's not fully complete. It's very buggy. I would like to try it in the future, but for right now, I feel like Elite Dangerous is giving me my money's full. It's fighting me, and if I wasn't a psycho that actually enjoys to play difficult games, I would have been uninstalled this game hours ago. But I am a psycho, and there's something wrong with me, and I enjoy difficult games, and I enjoy a challenge. So it's like I don't wanna let it go just yet. So maybe I'll play a few more sessions, and maybe something will stick. Maybe I'll finally learn how to properly fucking dock, and then continue playing a game, or at least kill more than two starships. That'd be nice too. I don't know. See you guys next time.